of the Spanish collection in the adult area, so that's something we can, share metrics on for each report, like the increase or decrease. Supporting parents as child's first teachers by offering 3 parent education programs. Part of Family Literacy's ongoing mission is to educate parents on what's included as part of literacy learning for children so that it can be practiced at home. More specifically, like the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten is a very popular program. And we currently have 699 people registered as part of that program. Yeah. So that's a special mention. As we do other programs specific to the children from literacy, we can report on those, and we'll continue to do that.
So is that
per year for literacy, as far as under one umbrella? Self before kindergarten, it's up to the parents to report back that their children have reached a marker, like they've gone through the last 100 books, because for every level, I think there's I'll give more specifics as far as what they do, but they do have markers for achievement along the way. It's not just the one lump sum of 1,000 books. Increasing availability of technology to boost digital literacy. These are sections listed next that we haven't really reached into yet, so those are on our radar for things to work on. But keep in mind, this is a new strategic plan, so we've got a ways to go before we can truly address everything. The other one that we do have kind of an ongoing piece to is leverage efficiency by partnering with city parks and recreation to participate in 4 events. Most recently, we partnered with the recreation department for marketing at Grand Avenue Festival, and we'll continue to do more. We participated, Pioneer Room participated with the Grape Day Park Festival, and those are ongoing, and we'll continue to add those to this table as they occur. Do you have questions or feedback of other metrics you would like to see as we're reporting?
Well, I think we can get started with the ones that we just talked about.
Okay.
And then, I don't want to overburden it, right? Like, we know you guys do all of this stuff continuously, so we don't want to, I don't.
Well, some of it might just be, like, for instance, the e-newsletter is very easy if you don't mind it just being a couple supplemental pages of the feedback from MailChimp, because we can just run that report. And it's not separate, it'll be separate from the table, so it really doesn't affect workflow. So things like that, happy to do.
Well, unless we're pulling something forward, would we even need to look at the 2025 through 27 stuff on a regular basis?
We probably need to understand when that work needs to start, right?
Yeah.
Or like what is needed to achieve that.
Right. And I think some of them, let's take a look. So I know for one, like let's say the first one, increase availability of technology to boost digital literacy and bridge the digital divide. There's a lot of talk about things we want to do, hotspots being one. And then we have our Chromebooks that are aging a bit, so we'd like to replace those with new Chromebooks and use the older ones to be checked out, where people could actually take them home and use them, especially if we have the hotspot to support that. So the thoughts are there. The plan just needs to be put in place with a timeline. And so while I think it's very realistic to think it could happen before 2027, I'm not sure exactly when the start date will be.
Right, and I think from a board perspective, right, we want to know how we can be involved. So if the staff thinks that, the hotspots are a good idea, that's how we're going to bridge this digital divide, it's the way we're going to get Wi-Fi into places that it's probably not right now, what kind of investment can the board make to make that?
And the other piece of that is going to be city support to decide, because I know that they have their own web initiatives, so we also don't want to duplicate efforts either. So once we get those pieces kind of sifted through and determined on who's going to take the lead on what aspects, that'll have a piece too, and then we'll be better equipped to say, hey, this is how the board can help us move forward with this project.
Yeah. Okay. Nope.
That's it for that section anyway.
Great. Director's report?
I'm going to keep it simple because as I was reading through this, I'm not sure what happened with this report because this is last month's report in there, but I have some fun updates for you. This Star Wars Reads Day, we just had that, and we had 70 people in attendance, so that was fun because we had the 501 first out in the Stormtrooper and all the other Star Wars characters. As I wanted to follow up on something Aspen already mentioned, the Toddler Tales had gotten to 100 people in the same story time, so we decided to add the second. After 2 weeks of 2 sets of this toddler story times, we're up to, there were 73 last week in one of the story times and then 62 in the other. So combined, we're exceeding the numbers that we used to get. I really think parents with young children were very concerned about the amount of time their kids weren't getting that face-to-face interaction with peers. And now they're really anxious to make up for that and make sure that the kids are getting that stimulation and interaction. So that's been really exciting. I also wanted to follow up on the request for an LS&S overview. We had mentioned that, or John, do you remember requesting kind of an LS&S overview of how they're involved in the library and things they offer? For instance, when we were working on the strategic plan committee, we met together and worked on that, and we had Debbie Joy to kind of support and move that effort forward. Just other ways, whether it's the collection management team, just giving an overview of all the pieces.
Yeah, like for instance, the analytics.
Yes.
And the what was it called? The first thing we looked at from Library IQ, relative use.
Right.
Which.
So we were going to
Yeah.
put together a presentation just kind of on some of those pieces as an overview of what we offer. We can always dive deeper of anything that piques anyone's interest. But Heidi will give that overview to us, but it won't be till February. So just wanted to let you know I had not forgotten that, didn't fall off of the plate, but it's just trying to coordinate. So that's something to look forward to in February. Other than that, I don't have any. Well, actually, I do have another update. One of our employees, Azar, who you know, head of adult services, was gone to spend time with family back in Iran. We're happy to report she is safely back in our library. I think we were all on pins and needles until Monday. I'm very relieved to see her in person. So that is more on a personal note, but very excited to report that that was something going on that we were all a little anxious about, I think. So things are good, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
What is the Post-it wall or the note wall that you guys were having?
I like the employee Post-it notes, or like
The one in adult services, they have Post-its on their whiteboard.
maybe in adult services they do Post-its on the whiteboard of what do they usually post?
So-and-so was great.
Oh, like
Okay.
encourage. Yes,
That was employee like recognition? Okay.
yes.
Because it got quite large, I think. This was recently, right? Okay,
Maybe.
I'm sorry, I should have
You're
had more
talking about something I'm
information.
not sure, because we used to have it next to our elevator.
Right.
And then I think it was up there for so long that people started getting bored with it. So
Okay.
then we turned that into more of just a across-the-board
Okay.
informational bulletin board. And so apparently Adult Services has done their own. Does customer service have one?
No,
No, okay, sorry.
That's okay.
we have goodies in our back room. That's what
Yes,
we have.
they have a kind of a treasure chest of rewards for,
Those of us who have experienced
maybe a difficult
traumas.
cleanup or patron interaction or something like that.
Mysterious cleanup.
Yes, we do have some, yeah.
Okay, well, that was
There are stories.
good to know.
It's a
Also,
public space.
I don't know if this is the time to ask, but we have the grant, so that's great news. And I
Yes.
was just wondering if there was any update or timeline or what happens next.
So what happens next is we're all looking at Joanna waiting. No, she'll be coordinating. She's going to try and I don't have a date yet of when we'll be meeting, but she's going to try and meet with all of the moving parts because we're going to need facilities there, people from the library, city and community services, coming up with some plans on next steps. And of course, we'll have to go out for bids for various parts of the project. So I'm waiting to hear that timeline as well. So that's as much as I know, unfortunately.
Hey, Zach, has the council been informed that?
Yeah, the council has been informed, and so is city manager. They're very excited. I know with Joanna specifically, she's in charge of the ARPA funding project, which has a lot associated with that, and she just got that rolling. And I know that this is a big part for another project for her as well that she's going to move forward on. So I would expect in the next few weeks you'll probably have a meeting scheduled with her. So
Yeah, I know she had multiple grants that, it's not just ours. There's other big grants that she's having to oversee. So I haven't gotten to the nagging stages yet.
Great. Great, well, thank you. I know that we last month, we had voted to present to the council. I think that we need to pick a new
Pick a
date,
date.
maybe? Okay.
yeah, so on that note, the council has approved the 2023 calendar. There are two meetings in January, January 11th and January 25th. If I were to make a recommendation, I'd probably go to the 25th because the 11th, there's probably gonna be a lot of items on that meeting. It might be full because it's gonna be a new council. But also if the 25th doesn't work, we could always schedule a February meeting. It's really just whatever is convenient for you, just so we can give an update to them, all the good things going on.
So I would prefer to do a date in February, just because then we can take our time. Yes, we can take our time, John, exactly.
Let me find the calendar real
Okay.
quick, and I believe there's 3 meetings in February. Hold on one sec. Yeah, so you could do 8th, 15th, or 22nd.
No, that's far enough in advance that I can make any of them work.
Okay.
I think the 15th sounds good. Right in the middle, we'll have had a meeting the 9th.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll tentatively schedule you guys, and then I'll let you know if for some reason it needs to be adjusted based off of council schedule between now and then. Perfect.
Which date did we?
15? Yeah.
Great, I think we'll just go down the line, share anything about the library or any other happenings related to libraries. Go ahead, Virginia.
Okay, so I finally found it. It was a September bulletin board with 204 responses on what will you check out with your library card. I just thought that was a great way to communicate
in
with
the
the
youth
community.
services.
Okay, it's youth services, yeah. So that was good community outreach. But also, I attended Del Lago High School's Back to School Nights. My daughter's a sophomore there, and I was so happy to see the Escondido Public Library had a booth there. And we're giving information to the high school kids about the offerings that the library has for the high school students. So I was very, very pleased. We stopped by, and they did a good job of providing information of the calendar and teen ways to get connected with the library. Just some things to consider. I thought it might be. A question for you. Do we get invited to all of the back-to-school nights?
We get invited to quite a few, and then we'll reach out at the beginning, like a little before the school year starts, to see who's having back-to-school nights, to see if we can coordinate it with our outreach schedule to try and have someone there. Or if we can't be there, at a minimum, we'll drop off information for them to share.
I thought it might be a good time to collect emails, from the students or families so that we can get them on the e-newsletter. Because I was like, what do you want from us? Like, do you want our email? Is there library card signups? But it was more like just giving information. But I think it's a good time to collect information too.
Yeah, except that's a tough one, because we also don't want to overstep, and some of the schools can be a little touchy about us asking for personal information of the students. But we could have, because we've also asked for email lists and stuff in the past, because we wanted to do automatic library cards at events like that, and it gets different responses from different places, so it's not something we've done. But yeah, we could definitely call in advance, and I don't know if you have an in.
Yeah.
That would be helpful to know kind of the best way to go about that, because we tend to treat them as a way to let us tell you about us, rather than ask information or overstep in any way with the privacy piece of it.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Well, the only thing I really have to report is I talked to Dara about this yesterday. I was approached by a member of the Escondido Historical Board. They're very interested in getting this project where we work together on the history of Escondido with the Pioneer Room. And I didn't know enough about it. From talking to Dara, it seems like the problem is staffing. Now, they have started to work, Dara said, on digitizing 3 file cabinets. But and it's no secret, the man I was talking to is Kent Baker. He's been in the Baker Electric people, been in town for years and years. And they're very interested in the history of Escondido, but also coordinating with us so that we're not duplicating. We're all trying to do the same thing. And so I called Dara because I didn't know exactly how to answer him, and Dara said that it was more in Joanna's prerogative, and they appear to have only one person working for them. And we have the Pioneer Room that's not open full time. And so how to facilitate this, I'm not really sure. But I wanted the board to know that they're very interested in seeing this project move along and trying to get us working together to promote the history of Escondido better.
And I can speak to that a little bit more. We've created an MOU that we have an agreement between the History Center and the city and Pioneer Room and LS&S for working towards digitizing a lot of our photos and things like that. And that's the 3 file cabinets that Ron is referring to. Is we had 3 filing cabinets moved over to the Pioneer Room just for better storage, because the area where they were located doesn't have the same level of temperature controlled space. So for better protection, and also we will be moving forward to have them digitized. It's nice to have them in our space since it's going to be our staff, and as we get volunteers to kind of train and they've earned our trust, we'll be using them as well to help digitize the many, many pictures. And it's going to be an ongoing project, but we're still very early on. Both Aspen and Katie have worked together to determine what they want to use and how much storage space they're going to need, and coming up with like cost projections for the city, and then working with Joanna to plan that, work with IT, and move it forward. So that's where it currently is, and I'm not sure where it's going to grow from there. And that's where I say Joanna is a good person to ask, because I think she's more involved with what the long-term vision's going to be.
Okay, I think that's a great idea. I don't mind reaching out to Joanna to ask her about what her long-term vision is for that.
If Joanna's here next meeting, maybe we could have it on the agenda.
That's a great idea.
If she's going to be here. If she's not, we really need her, I think, it sounds like.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ron. One of the things that I did over the last month was I took a trip to the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum that's over across from Grape Day Park. They had to pair me with another adult because I didn't come with kids, so I didn't want to come across as weird, you know. But it was really cool, and I think I'm going to take a trip there with my nephew, who's coming in December. But yeah, so I think that Krishna and Heather are going to come tour next week. Okay, great. And I think that one of the places I think we may be able to partner with them, one of the things that I think would be really great is for the, parental education, talking about early childhood development and, seeing, what programs they have, how it aligns with what we provide at the library. I know that they have an initiative for reading and literacy, so seeing, how we can maybe
We do partner with them for a monthly story time.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, great.
And during COVID, we crossed our social media to share those events.
Great.
So we work pretty closely with them in our children's department.
Okay, awesome. I think, extending learning to the parents as well, I think is really important. And then, too, they're interested in more space, so I'm sure that's something that they'll bring up in the tour with you, Dara. And something I'll probably bring up with Joanna is, what that looks like, what kind of involvement they might have in a new library. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, when I come to the library, for some reason, I end up buying used books out of the Friends thing. And when I'm through with them, I just give them back so they can sell them again.
Well, we thank you for that because that's our programming money.
I know, okay. But the free books out front, I do the same thing when I'm through with them. When I get them home, I understand why they're free sometimes, and I bring them back, put them back on the shelf. Maybe this has been answered a long time ago, but I've just, the thought just ran through my head. Whatever happened to the Palomar MOU for the library over on Midway and Rose, Grand Avenue?
COVID.
Yeah, I remember us we were painting they were painting the building, the room, okay? It's about 2,500 square feet or so in an L shape. And they were painting it, and then COVID came, and then I haven't heard a thing since.
Yeah, and I don't know the extent to which it's been opened, its normal hours
Yeah.
either. I know Katie knows, and maybe do you know who the person, you don't? Okay, I'm going to go with the wide eyes that you didn't know. But I know Katie knows one of the librarians on staff, and we have talked about that, reaching out and seeing where are we, because it seems like it just kind of
Yeah.
died and fell off the plate.
So do we want to make that an action item for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the same thing happens to when I go to the Friends of Library bookstore. Just kind of check it out, and then I walk out with books, and then I bring them back again. So I wanted to just congratulate you and commend you on the programs that you've done through the summer, because I'm reading this here, and that is the last month's report, but you keep continue bringing new programs to the community, and you're doing a great job. And also with the increases in participation, that's great news for everybody. Seems like things are going back to normal, and people are coming back and coming out again, so which is great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else? No? All right. I will adjourn this meeting of the Library Board of Trustees. Thank you.